Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leprechaun Alley. My name is Carrie.
And mine is Michael.
So, we are here to take your requests for live astrology readings. If you like what you hear here, please like and subscribe. And if you would like a more in depth personal reading, please click on the link below in the description, and there will be a software available for you to schedule the reading yourself. So, and then that will send me an email to inform me that there is a reading request. So, and if you want to have an astrology reading live, we provide that gratis.
In the meanwhile, we'll give our opinion and thoughts about certain things that are current and ongoing, and as well as past things, things that are of concern to, I would say, the population. And hopefully, we'll keep it interesting.
You know what I really wanted to do? I was thinking about bringing up mine or Michael's chart, Jodishi. I haven't figured out how to add that yet, but that would be a very interesting conversation.
You really want to do that?
Well, we'll see. What I was kind of looking at is this. Sorry, I have my broken glasses on today. I take my glasses all over. So some of you can appreciate it. It's constantly taking them off, putting them on, and I just need to put them all over the house. So this is interesting. I thought what was interesting is that you have K2 in Jodish in your fifth house. And I want to learn how to bring these up. I don't know yet, but I think that's very interesting. So, and it's in Mula, which actually is a nakshatra that represents roots. And it's in Sagittarius. So this is also a situation where
my wild days are over with, in other words.
Well, and the fifth house, that's the house of children.
Right. First, let's let the audience know, for those who are listening, that K2 is the tail of the dragon.
I thought I had your
and it represents
chart
events
so
of the past.
Show it.
The present would be Rahu, and that is the head of the dragon. And that would be what is ongoing now. So what Carrie is referring to is K2. For me, it is the tail of the dragon, and it's in the fifth house, which in the fifth house, in my chart, would be Sagittarius. Now, the fifth house rules over love, speculation, promotion, creativity,
children.
As well as children. Children belong to the fifth house. The fifth house is generally ruled by Leo by default, but every individual has their own placing because the time of birth determines when the charts begin, where they and how they end. So Carrie is going to read what K2 means in the fifth house of Sagittarius for me.
So K2, this Rahu K2, that's a north node and the south node axis. This is
another referral besides the tail and the head. The north node would be the head of the dragon, and the south node would be the tail of the dragon, which is K2. So that's what she means by the north node and the south node.
So K2 is like the north node and the south node. What they are is that they are mathematical calculations of the central points located between the sun and the moon based on the equator.
Right. Okay. In other words, the moon's orbit is projected into space, and when the moon crosses its orbit, when it's going north, it's Rahu. When it's going south, it's K2. I was saying that so that you get a better understanding of how these things work and what they and how they're placed in their chart.
And even with the mathematical points, There is one that is a yin, and there is one that is a yang. The yang portion of the Rahu Ketu axis is, I mean, what did I say? The masculine, I'm sorry, the masculine,
Well, the positive, the weather is the same
right,
thing.
is Ketu. That's the yang energy, and the yin, the feminine, that is the Rahu. So Ketu is going to represent moksha, final liberation. This is
Feminine is Rahu.
feminine is Rahu and Ketu is masculine.
Really?
Yep, Ketu is.
That I did not know. I
It's
thought
like
the North was Rahu.
Nope, it's like a specter of Mars, and Rahu is like a specter of Saturn, but more of the Capricornian Saturn. Although, well, it's actually a blend. I will have to say, to be fair, it's a blend because Rahu also represents technology. It also represents viruses. Um, interesting to note is typically Jyotish doesn't use the outer planets, the Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto.
And they're not really usable for the Western zodiac in any event.
But so what Rahu is actually the planet that kind of compensates a little bit for Neptune and Uranus. So at any rate, looking at Michael's past lives and sort of what's going on here, and I think this is really interesting because I also wanted to compare. So he has K2 in his 5th house, and I have K2 in my 11th house in Leo. So we both had these past lives as more of a yang energy, more more masculine, more physically active. Mine would have been more from an athletic perspective, also creative. The Leo is a natural 5th house. And Michael also would be more from an executive. I think that would probably be the more executive of the fire signs would probably be Sagittarius. If something was going to execute, the Sag would really make the decision and do the deed. So I was just kind of thinking of with the Mula in Sagittarius. So what Michael has, which is very interesting, is that he has, so K2 also represents like severing. So you can look at that. So there is an indication here with severing from his roots. What does that mean? Michael actually was born without a vasta friends, and which means that he wasn't able to produce children. So in his family, there's a family history of cystic fibrosis. And so it has shown up as full-blown cystic fibrosis in some members of his family, and in other members of the family, it shows up as more minor problems, such as like issues with sexual reproduction, and maybe the lungs aren't necessarily as deep as
Well, I've always had
regular
trouble
person.
with the lungs. Fortunately, because of my torso being very long, my lungs are also bigger than normal.
Yeah.
So that even though my lungs would be under attack because of my astrological makeup, I still have an advantage of having fairly strong lungs because they're big. But still, I suffered from the lung problem, and that was the cystic fibrosis germ that is in my father's side of the family. And my brother's daughter has a very serious case of cystic fibrosis. My father's youngest brother died at the age of 29, which was in the past the latest that people with cystic fibrosis would live. So
Yes.
we lost him.
And Michael's niece is doing very well
because of
given what she has.
They have a modern. They've improved very much and kept these people alive.
She's 36 years old,
Right? So she should,
and she can swim a full lap in the pool.
So she's getting. She has advantages. So go ahead.
So this is just kind of, some of the things kind of that we play with a little bit are, we always want to know who we are in a past life kind of thing. And typically what that looks like is when you're dealing with K2 is you're dealing with there's and the house that it's located in is going to tell you that is you're always going to have a sense in that area of your life that there's always something missing. There's something absent. So there can be something as direct as literally Michael's moolah is in K2. Honestly, Michael's chart, Michael's history is complicated and insane, but
Mm,
his chart
sure.
is about as straightforward as you're going to get. Every once in a while, you just get that. Mine is like, "Ugh, well, I don't even know what to do. I still don't know what to do." But his, because I have 4 planets in the first house, and any Vedic astrologer will tell you that people that have, because we only work with 7 planets. I have 4 planets in the first house. In opposition to those planets, I have Saturn. So there's 5 planets. And then in my second house, I have the sun and Mercury. So I've already gotten all 7 inner planets knocked out. And everything else, the rest of my houses are basically open with exception of the K2 and Rahu axis. So with Michael, now what we have is, we'll start with Sag, and we want to look at his K2. So what's again, what's so straightforward and direct is that, that he's not genetically reproducing. It's just straight across the board. And that would actually make sense as well, because you could look at genetics as well in terms of Rahu, in terms of the way that there is a diaspora of options that you have to choose from, because Rahu also indicates ETs, and Rahu is also an indicator for viruses. So you have a variety of things that relates to. Why? Because these things are microscopic and they're elusive. So there's this, and these planets and the axis of destiny, these are mathematical points. They're not actual physical entities. So these things that are sort of not particularly tangible to the naked eye, those are kind of some of the things also that we're going to be looking at relative to Rahu. I just kind of just, when Michael was asking, I was just, this is what I've been thinking about today. So, and again, if you would like a live astrology reading, please give us your time of birth. I mean, not your time of birth, your date of birth and the year. And for your personal reading, we will take the time as well. So also what he has now, if you want to look at, so where is Michael's Jupiter? Not only does he have this disaster of a K2 in Sagittarius, which is actually still a good place for it, believe it or not. This is a guy that you want on your side. This is the guy that can see things that other people can't see. This is someone who has with wherever your K2 is located, you're also going to notice that you have this odd skill or quality here. And I have to tell you, Michael has such a rich creative history. And it's, let's see, you started off, I mean, he's an incredible draftsman. I think what's so interesting is how he doesn't really draw or paint for pleasure. I wish he would, because,
I had to go to work and support family.
well,
My mother and her 6 children.
right.
I'm the 7th of the oldest.
Maybe we'll get him there.
Well, those days are long gone, long ago. But I did get involved in many, many, many things, and I have been an artist in many, many fields of artistry. Whether it would be compiling a book and getting it printed. Uh, it was for an instruction manual on how to prepare proposals for the military. I produced all of the write-up in that book, all of the chapters, all of the sections, including all of the diagrams and flowcharts and whatever. They were all produced by me, because I have the talent to be able to draft, to illustrate, and to edit and write. So those are some of the things. Aside from many other things, I've been a machinist, doing 1/1000th of an inch of tolerance in what they call centerless grinder. I've operated many large machinery that was machinery. It was very skilled work, very delicate work. Um, so it just seems odd that I fell into so many different kinds of jobs. I've worked as a I guess a lot of us have worked in restaurants, just washing dishes and things of the support nature in the restaurant. But that was what before
Right.
started working professionally.
Not as it's not more that's more in the creative, right? That would be
Yeah.
your sixth
And
house,
I've
right?
worked with engineers. I've supported engineers. I've worked in the marketing departments
Hi,
on, on,
Sylvia. Welcome.
on how to market products. I was proposal manager at two different companies. I was a single source on how to get publications out the door. I worked in publication companies.
Right. Publications. Hello,
And
Sagittarius.
publications would belong
Hmm.
to the sign
That's
Sagittarius.
right.
So in that regard, but and I've supported engineers, as I've said. I've done the editing for them, sometimes even writing up articles for them. I simply did everything one asked of me, no matter what. And I must say, not to toot my own horn, but I did very good work.
Yes.
They when I worked with engineers, they were always looking for me to be their guide and their editor and their person who would look at the writings and correct them and get them prepared for publication. I've I've worked in landscaping. Did
Yes.
some very interesting work. Worked in New
Beautiful.
York City in Times Square on water wall, water on water features called wall
Waterwall. Mhm.
in the place where the building was open between two buildings and there was a canopy above, and that's where people sat to eat during lunchtime. I worked. I've done other projects in an area that we say belongs to Long Island, but it was physically on Long Island, Bay Shore, Bayside, for instance, is just on the other side of Nassau County, and it's considered the city, but geographically belongs to Long Island. Done there. I've produced Korean style waterfalls in Korean restaurants. Uh, Basically, anywhere they wanted. I've worked for the Wolf of Wall Street,
He
Jordan
built the
Belfort.
pond that Jordan Belfort. Yeah.
Jordan Belfort was the Wolf of Wall Street, and the movie they did that a lot of it is very, very close to the truth. They used the house that was very similar to the one that he actually lived in, and I worked there for 4 years. I produced a four or $500,000 pond setting, which would be about the size of a little over a quarter of an acre in size. It was very magnificent. I have videos on that. I did that from scratch, from drawing I did waterfalls for different places. The water district at the West Hempstead in Long Island. The bottom line is that I could do almost anything that somebody wanted from me.
So I wanted to just point out because I want to tie all of this together. We're just talking just about K2 and a little bit about other things that are related to it, but specifically. And so looking at Michael, because I do know him, now I would like to think that I'm past the stage of my astrology life where I'm not capable of reading for my loved ones because I'm enough practiced to get my ego out of the way. Now, I would like to think that, but we can't be sure. So Mula is actually ruled by K2. Now, K2 again, it's the energy is similar to Mars. And what I want to point out is so interesting is that you have the specter energy to these mathematical points. And what does Michael do? Michael created his own metal fittings and has retrofitted these fountains. It's That's not the kind of job, it's not the kind of career And honestly, I think that this would be a really good book, is to reorganize the way that we view careers and what is the word that I'm looking for? Not careers, but um,
Profession?
profession. But there's something that's much more personal, like it's like, well, your dharma. It's like your dharma, but in another word in English, it'll come to me. So we don't see. We have these. Um, uh, uh, Positions that we understand what they are. Like, we have doctors, lawyers, police, firemen, nurses, mothers, wet nurses. Who else? The soldier. So they're kind of like an archetype. But there's 7 billion of us. We are well past the archetype stage. We need to get some different vocabulary for how we bring in an income, how we survive. So you wouldn't know. Now, for example, if Michael was going to be a metal worker, then you might get something more solid, like a more of a solid Mars energy.
Well, I did work in metal shops. So
And
I
you did, yes.
Yes.
So, but as terms of your vocation, that's what I was thinking of. If that was going to be your vocation and that was the center of it, then you're going to see more of a strong Martian energy. But in fact, it is there because you have Mars as an opposition to Sagittarius. It's um, it's why it's in Gemini. I can't like. Um, so what does that mean? So instead of it being a direct vocation, directly doing that, it is a partnership. It is in opposition. It would be in partnership to Michael's creative mode. And what else is in Gemini? We have
Well, Geminis represent
your
brothers and
planets.
sisters, siblings.
You have Saturn and Mars are conjunct in Gemini. So you're also talking about something that can be aggressive, that can be violent, that can be very fast acting. So now you have these qualities and that are all about action and all about Mercury. Oh, which Michael has in retrograde in his chart.
That's correct.
So, and it's so funny because honestly, I'm starting to think that I'm going to rant. I've been talking most of the time, but I'm going to go on a little rant. Religion and spirituality, the kind that says, only listen to me and everything else has to be excluded. What polarity do you think that is? Who needs commitment beyond anything else? Who needs fidelity beyond anything else? Women, the feminine, the divine feminine. So now what you have are all of these men. It's really what you did is these people got together, they organized this religion, they defined what polarities mean based on that religion, not what they actually mean based in nature. And the physically masculine person is in charge, but the toxic feminine possession, anima, is who's in control. So, and that's where you get these crusades. That's where you get what are the crusades if they're nothing more than a bitter, bitchy woman sending her son out, sending her husband out to go kick the neighbor's ass because they put something in their yard that you didn't like. What else? It's nothing more than that. So now you have this whole thing going on, and now you've already, by philosophy, switched the polarities of the physical genders that we reside in. And is it any wonder, and this has been going on for a few thousand years now, so is it any wonder that we get confused about our identities or what we're doing? It doesn't make sense. So coming back to this.
Well, the interesting thing with K2 being in the Gemini.
Oh no, K2 and Sagittarius.
I mean, Rahu in Gemini
Rahu, yes.
is that my life is inundated with duality
Hmm.
to the extreme,
And
to
oh,
the
and
extreme.
I just want to add this one piece. What better way to resolve the reversal of polarity in our philosophy than by being born with a Mercury retrograde?
Mm.
That's the way that you solve the problem. And Michael has had some profound, incredible awakenings, things that we had talked with each other about when we met. That just I said to him, Michael, I've never heard anybody speak of anything like, in the way that you're describing it.
Well, also my treatment of women.
Right. And it also feels I was like, wow, ding, 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 ding. And then right, like a whole bunch of things. You kind of know when someone's telling the truth because it kind of ties a few loose ends together for you. That's kind of how it works. I mean, at least for me, that's how it works. So so also I want to think of society at large when we're looking at these charts and why we have the need to be born this way. What's going on in our society? What's going on in our culture? And the thing that's so frustrating, right, is that when we're looking at the astrological charts as well, what we're thinking about is why it doesn't look like what we've been told about how things are. Now, maybe if we grew up in India, we might be like, all right, I got it. But that's not the case from the culture that we came from. So, and the other thing is that Michael brings spirituality to his work. He is one with God. It's the funniest thing. Let me tell you something. You would see him working and you would know it. He honestly, Michael, if he had his way, once you get him going, other than when he doesn't feel good, he would never come in the house. If he didn't have to worry about being eaten by wild animals or anything, he'd probably just sleep outside, drop to where he last left off, and just get up and keep going again.
Hmm. Well, yeah, I was very much constant,
And
constantly trying to accomplish things and getting involved in many things.
And of course, in a past life, what happened as well with K2 in the fifth house is that this is our unmet desire. This is an unmet realization. This is something that he wanted to achieve in a past life, his creative mode, a full creative expression. And his attraction to all of these artists is incredible. While at the same time, he doesn't identify himself with them, but I do because I've seen his work.
Mm.
And I just so yeah, I just kind of wanted to bring that up. We have these experiences and we feel like something in a particular area of our life is missing. And that's where K2 shows up. So for me, the way I was, now I had K2 in my 11th house. And of course, you better believe I like weirdos. All kinds. I have an eclectic group of friends. I always have.
No, the 11th house represents friendship.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes.
So go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So, and your associates, and also the older sibling, and I do have an older brother who I adore, and there is an absolute love and affection between us. However, we're very different, and we have different styles, and so it's very difficult for us to get together. But
There's
yeah,
also a tremendous attraction towards novelty
absolutely.
with the 11th house.
So, and thus, here we are.
But the 11th
Right?
house represents fortune
It doesn't get much
also.
more novel than you, Mr. Perillo.
It represents hopes and dreams
That's right.
and gains. The
Mhm.
11th house is about gaining, where the fifth house is more philosophical. It's more a little bit more detached from what they think. They're able to uh, put themselves a little bit on the side in order to accomplish truth. Um, so that definitely, my fifth house is definitely very active. My as much as is the let's see, the fifth, what's what the opposite of the fifth would be the third, right?
The 11th. Opposite of what? The fifth house is the 11th.
The 11th house. So I don't have Rahu in the 11th house.
No, I have K2 in my
So I'm
11th.
looking at my
Your K2 is in your 5th in Sagittarius.
Where's Rahu?
Oh, Rahu is in your. I'm sorry, Rahu is in your 11th. Yes, you and I have it switched up. Yeah, Rahu, and isn't that interesting? And so let me just make this other point. K2 is in Leo in my 11th house, which is Michael's ascendant. So that tells us as well that number one, he is my friend. That's who I want as a friend. Number two, we have some karmic stuff to clean up. It's literal. I don't know how much more straightforward you could get, with the exception of being able to hear the voice of the large divine.
Karma is constant in everybody's life.
That's right. That's right.
There's no way out of that.
And so that's what this is going to look like for you. So even whoever is here and watching the video, you want to come to a live stream, or you want to leave me your time of birth and date.
There's many astrologers.
Right. And date in the comments below. I'll come back and I'll talk about your K2 as well if you want to do that.
Most astronomers who deal with the moon nodes, Rahu and Ketu, they look at these two positions as having to do with a certain level of spirituality, a certain level of, let's call it, underlying force that guides one from one place to the next. So one looks at these two positions as what is being accomplished or was accomplished, what is current or what is past. The past is what you refer to, and it stands up as your hidden structure. The present, which would be Rahu, is more temperamental. It's more energy oriented. And I've seen both the Rahu and the Ketu in my chart. It deals with things that are not really expressed by the planets.
That's right.
It works as a kind of like what was influencing you behind the scene, going on, going. A type of influence that is sort of almost secretive. It's almost, you have to really probe into it to understand it at all. But it's very interesting because most astrologers look at these the nodes as things of the present or things of the past.
Oh, okay, I want all of you to see what I'm going to slip in right now. By the way, K2 in your 5th house makes you a very attentive parent. Like, that's what you're really good at.
Mm-hmm. Well, I did that too.
Sylvia, do you want to give me what I need? Do you know what time you were born? Because I'm going to write that down. And
you're going to get into that kind of a reading now.
No. But actually, she'll give me her information, and then for the next.
All right, with the time, but we're going to.
Oh, if you want, you can also email that to me if you're more comfortable. The next time. Oh, good. Okay, 3 p.m. I actually might be able to do this. Let me see how long.
3 p.m. Right, the time I was born.
I know.
Except I was born in daylight savings time.
You guys have known each other for many lives. It's very clear.
The fact is, I was born at 1, not 3. So 1:40 and instead of 3:40.
Let's make a Sylvia.
Because
they can still see us. So
it was 2 hours daylight savings time in Italy, and that lasted until 1949. They had 2 hours of what they call the wartime.
Oh my gosh, I love when people know their time of birth so much. It makes me so happy.
3 o'clock p.m. That's
1500.
What's the sun sign?
Oh, hold on, I'll tell you. And what we did. got to put her information in. Yeah, she's January 25th. She's an Aquarius.
Well, it's Aquarius.
Yeah, she's here with us all the time.
We did a reading for her.
Oh yeah. So what I was going to do is I want to kind of look and see. We have a little bit. It's just us hanging out.
3 p.m. Huh?
So I want to look at where a K2 is.
At 12 p.m., it should have been almost Leo. 3 p.m. would be Virgo, possibly moves into the sign of Libra. So there's a possibility that this is Libra rising. Without doing a mathematical chart.
He's just doing some calculations while I'm plugging in some numbers.
Yeah, in my mind, and it looks like maybe Libra rising.
Oh, my darling, I need one more piece of information. I need to know where you were born. So, and then I can put that information in. So then I'll have you there forever. So you say, no, I don't want to be there anymore. So, so while we're waiting for her to give us the information for where she was born, I know I have my funny glasses on today. We'll kind of keep going on in the thread of oh, yes. She was born in Atlantis. I knew it. I knew you were born in Atlantis.
Atlantis?
It's Sylvia. No, I'm teasing her.
What Atlantis?
No, I'm teasing her. Yeah, because I'm saying she was born in Atlantis. She was actually born in, Patagon River, Maryland. Wow.
Maryland.
How about that?
So that's got to be...
Oh, so she probably grew up a little bit like us in certain ways.
That's got to be 38 degrees longitude?
Yeah. Well,
I mean latitude?
I'll have that figured out right quick here. I'm going to see if I can copy and paste this. All right. So when I get done today, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to that. Patuxent River, where I can just throw this up and plug your stuff in real time, and that so you can see it. Is it? Let's see. Is it near? Let me ask you. It's not coming up. Is there another town that's near?
A major town.
Oh. Pawtucket. Is it Patuxent or? I have a Patuxent. Is that the? It's not giving me the Patuxent River. It's giving me Patuxent.
Well, it might be the larger town.
Oh, good. Thank you. Love you. We really do. Okay. Beautiful. Yep. Oh, stinkers. This is, for whatever reason, I have to figure out how I'm going to update this program because now it's taking me to China as my baseline. Like, nope, we're in the US. Oh, very exciting. Oh, I want this. Maryland. And for some reason, there. So for some reason, it makes me go through the exercise of doing this twice. Are you kidding me right now? Hold on. It's there's a little glitch and it's not helping. Hold on. Oh, finally. Yay! We got it. Okay, Sylvia. Interesting. Oh, this is really good. So you have K2 in your second house in Cancer. So now I'll tell you right now in Vedic astrology, I'll just start with this. Your actual ascendant in Vedic astrology is Gemini. So, and you're still in friendly territory, not to worry. K2. So, oh, this is Ashlesha. Hmm, hmm, hmm. Very interesting. So, so now we're dealing with Ashlesha. I believe you. It says so right in your chart. It says you went to school in your chart. So Ashlesha is a nakshatra. I don't want to, it represents, and then it's in Cancer. So what this means, and it's your second house. So this means in a past life, just starting that's just your basic, um, that's your basic gains and income and your early childhood education. So your early childhood, um, yeah, like grammar school. So that's going to be an indicator starting with that you had an experience where there were in your childhood, you weren't able to express yourself. You weren't able to get yourself completely out. You couldn't get yourself open. There could have been issues financially within the family. You're going to be looking at something happened in school, something happened um, either within the home or in that state where instead of being able to move forward to learn the things that you want to learn or in order to learn the things that you desire to learn, there were a lot of things that were prohibiting you from doing that. Maybe there could have been a chaotic state. Actually, I would say in this particular situation, it looks like you may have had a smothering mother. That could be a possibility. And there could be some confusion about the nature of the relationship with the parents. And by the way, these are things that we're experiencing with our unique gestalt, with our unique makeup. This doesn't mean that we don't love our parents and that God doesn't love them. That doesn't just, we just have to tell our story to put it out there so we can see what's going on. So, and it's possible with K2 being in Ashlesha, it's possible that either and that's an indicator of a femme fatale. There could have been some infidelity, also opportunism within that situation. Um, it could be either she could have been abused either by men, she could have been really badly abused by men, or it's very interesting because there's always these polarities, or that very beautiful and men really desired her and went through extremes to try to get her to be with them. So there's some of that going on. Very interesting. And also with the Ashlesha Nakshatra, the representative is the snake. There's also an indicator here of sexual immaturity. And now I'm not talking about the bang up hookup aspect of it. Oh, well, your mother, and then for you, that might be part of your experience in this life. And for you, it's quite possible that this may have been one of the past lives where you were a consort. Of course, in this context, it would actually be more of a divine range. So you would be a consort. And really, what is a consort? That's where you're activating polarities. And if you're dealing with India, that's actually where you would conduct some business, because there's a whole process to do that. That's part of their practice, their spiritual practice as well. So it's possible that you were a divine consort in a past life. And there could be some issues with you maybe not being able to fully evolve sexually, not being able to fully express yourself sexually, a lot of morality hanging over you, and a lot of men. And I think this is a really good opportunity to have that conversation. A lot of men that just can't hit the mark. They don't know how to deal with you. They need to speak to you in a respectful way. They need to bring you out. They need to offer you a safe space for you to come out to express yourself. And you absolutely will once you have that. So that's also something that could have also been unrealized for you in a past life. But looking at Cancer, I was thinking more of like the primordial mother. And even though this is your second house, I would say that, there could be some piece of that that's linked to it. And I'm not looking at the whole chart, just this particular component. Um, so in this life, what's very interesting though, throughout your life, I just want to say this. The blessing of Ashleisha is that if we sing the right song to you and we help you dance in your flow the right way, you will shed your skin and be able to reinvent yourself. So you may have reinvented yourself many times sexually throughout your life. And of course, I'm not talking about the hookup stuff. I'm talking about the polarities. And all of the cuteness and the seduction comes with it. But what's most important about it is the polarity. So let me get another. I just want to take a little peek at that. I want to see where your moon is now, because moon rules Cancer. She has moon in Mrigashira in Taurus in her baby. Your moon is exalted. Hey, you know what that means? When I see an aspect like this, so check this out. This is so cool. I just wanted to give you some good news today, Sylvia. It's time. Um, the ruling planet of the second house of Cancer is Moon. That is located not only in your 12th house, it is exalted in your 12th house. So that means that whatever that was that you weren't able to remedy in a past life, you were able to find a way to make peace with your divine femininity, and in relationships. So, and that you have resolved this issue in this life. But there would definitely be also some experience and also the economic issues. So you've had multiple streams of income, a variety of sources. Let me just take this up really quick because it's not this way. Let me look at your other money houses here. Oh, my goodness. So we have Sun in the 8th house. So there would be, this is very interesting. Right, and I have to talk about your Rahu, which is perfect because it's an opposition to the Ketu, right? This is the axis of destiny. There's always an opposition. So Rahu is located in your 8th house, and that's located in Capricorn. So that's a good space to go. Well, what is Rahu about? Rahu is about where you're going, your future, your destiny. So here, according to this, although the sun is in an enemy sign, let me just do a quick and dirty, it ends up being neutral. So it looks like, according to this, that you did have some type of family inheritance. Either it's financial, either it's through a gift of being able to communicate well, being able to articulate well, from the father. So inheritance looks like it would be more from the father side with the son in your, now I have to go look at Jupiter and where your ninth house is because I can't, I have to be able to support that. So you have, yeah, so Jupiter's in your 11th house. It's also another a significator for the father. Ninth house ruler is Saturn. Where'd that go? It very interesting. I mean, just looking at your chart off the top of my head, it really looks like your skill and your talent came from your father. You internalized his gifts. He would have been more supportive. He would have been more understanding. Somebody who is more disciplined, someone who loves beauty, appreciates all beauty, and someone who really wants to share that with their children. That's incredible. Wow. So yeah, so it looks like you slayed a few dragons and you're coming out on top in this life. Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. Oh, oh, and that was his sister, your aunt. That makes sense. Well, I'm very happy to hear that. So it's so interesting how that works though, right? And then of course, right, what you're going to be experiencing more in the second house is that you don't have enough income or you can't express yourself enough in a particular way. And then all of a sudden everything comes together and you are liberated from that issue because K2 represents final liberation. And so however you remedy that, whether it's internally, externally, both, it gets remedied in this life. Oh, it's your mom. Oh, your mother's sister. Ah, so let's do a little reverse here. Wow, that's so that and mother's sister would have been right the ruler of or in Virgo. Look at Mercury, and we're gonna go one, two, three. Yep. Oh, so we're looking at also then your mother's sister and do a deeper probe into that. We're going to look at your mother's sister may have been a kind, benevolent person, a lot of fun and generous, gregarious. That's what this is showing me here. Just oh, now I'm looking. Okay. I want to do this. Where's the ninth? Ah. Ah, very good. Sylvia just said, because what I was looking at, Michael. So let me tell you what I'm looking at instead of just like, oh, here, ooh, ah. So what I do is the way that you go around a Vedic astrology chart, because I decided to look at K2. And K2 is located in Cancer. The ruling planet is the moon. When I start thinking about your parents or thinking about your family, what I do is I'm looking at the mother is the fourth house and also the moon is the mother. So we have two positions for that. And the mother's going to be represented by Mercury. So now we have Mercury in the eighth house. And even though Mercury is in a happy, friendly place, now it's showing, though, that it doesn't have the full energy. So again, here, what we're seeing in Mercury in the eighth house, we're going to see difficulty being able to communicate, get what you need expressed, being able to, there also might be, this is interesting, there also might be some difficulty with eyesight with Mercury. So maybe you needed glasses or something when you were a kid, or maybe your parents really struggled with eyesight. And then I'm looking at Mercury because now that's going to be the planet that represents your mother because it rules the fourth house, and it's conjunct the sun, which is also indicative of the father and also indicative of your third house. So the third house is also going to be an indicator for communication. So there would have been something odd or unusual in the way that you and your mother and father communicated and how they communicated with each other. Your father actually may have been, well, no, let me double check with that. I'm going to look at that. Mm. Like, it seems like it would be interesting, or it would be a little easier to communicate with your father than your mother, and possibly he may have undermined her a little bit. I mean, to your benefit, but he did. That's incredible. So we were just looking at K2 and and just looking at your past lives and look at how much we can learn about ourselves, because it's thank you. It's all about the way that we ask the question. And whenever we're coming, oh, by the way, the most important part of anything is how we ask the question. Because if we can't ask a question that we can recognize the answer to, then we don't really have that question because
Mm.
it's not serious. I mean, not that we can't just be like, I just like to know stuff just to know it. Um, yeah, so the question is the most important part. Wow, this is so interesting. Well, I might have a little fun. Sylvia, if you don't mind, since I have all of your stuff over here, um, I'm gonna like look at your chart a little bit more. I don't, if you're okay with me reading a few things, if you guys have already sent me, I haven't been on my email last couple of days, but if you guys have already sent me an email with your email address on it, what I'll do is if I have a couple of topics and if it's okay for us to discuss your chart live, I just want to ask your permission. So just go ahead and shoot me an email if you haven't already, so I have your email address. But we are getting to the top of the hour. This is really fun for me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take over the whole show.
I'll have my time.
Oh, yes, he'll have, okay. But I just really wanted to have some fun with K2, and especially because once I'm just about an elder yet. I have 4 years and then I'll be classified an elder. So once we get down to the sunset, to the fourth hump of our lives where we're an elder, that's when all of this other stuff is so much more meaningful and so much more interesting. So I'm gonna mull this over and just if let me just make sure I get your email address so that, yeah, I just want to make sure because sometimes I have no idea what I'm going to find. So, okay. So that's it for today. And as always, all our love and travel light.
Goodbye.